Good afternoon, Girl Scouts. My name's Megan. I'm here with the Girl Scouts of Central Maryland. I am coming to you while we are going to be doing our junior Get Moving journey. So I'm going to give it just a quick moment just to get some people on. Let me make sure I can see all of our comments. As you're popping on, just comment, make sure that you guys can hear me, and comment in below where you're watching from. I know in a lot of our other videos we've had people watching from all over the country, so I'm interested to see where we're coming from. All right, so we have some people come in. Let me make sure I can see our comments as we come through. All right, just a quick, and all right, there we go. Fantastic. Someone's here from South Atlanta. Wonderful. All right, so as we're going through this today, we're going to be doing our Get Moving journey. We're going to do this in 3 different parts. We are going to jump around a little bit with some of the parts, just, you know, with what we're going to be working on today. But with our journey, Get Moving, it has kind of 3 parts to it. There's the Energize Award, the Investigate Award, and the Innovate Award. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do part of the Innovate Award, part of the Energize Award, and I'm going to send you guys out to investigate in your neighborhoods and your communities, and we're going to talk about that kind of as we go through. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do 2 different activities that have to do with different types of energy and different types of electricity. So the very first one that we're going to start with is we're going to start making a wind turbine. All right. And so if you have the materials, you can go along and make this with me. If you weren't able to get all of the materials, that's okay. We can still go ahead and try and make what we can with what we have. I will be honest with you. I made a prototype of this one and it's not working exactly the way that I want it to. So I'm going to keep working with it, and I'm going to listen to your comments and see if maybe any of you are successful, more successful than I am. But that's the number one thing about science, is sometimes it doesn't work the way that we think it does. And we kind of just have to adapt and figure out and learn from there. So to start with this journey, I'm going to go ahead and I have my hot glue gun. If you guys are doing that with me, I'm going to go ahead and plug that in so that it's getting hot. So I'm going to go ahead and let that get heated up. So what we're going to need for this activity is we're going to need a couple different popsicle sticks. So I have a couple different fun colored popsicle sticks. We're going to need a small kind of paper Dixie cup sort of thing. A larger cup, I have just a large plastic cup right here. LED lights, and I'll go ahead and show you how these work in just a quick moment once we get to that step. And a motor. I also have some tape with me just in case I need to use tape, and I have something that my hot glue gun is sitting on top of so it's not getting all over my kitchen table. So while my hot glue gun is heating up, and I also have, if you have a sharp knife, that'll work, but I also have some sharp scissors. So to start at the very beginning, here I'll show you my prototype. Ours is going to look a little different. I use mostly tape with this one, but this is what we're going to be working on making. All right, so we have a picture. And what we're going to start with is we're going to start making our the fan part of our wind turbine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 popsicle sticks, and in the center of the popsicle sticks, what I'm going to do, and I'll go ahead and draw just a dot on it for you, just in the, the rough center of the popsicle stick on each of our sticks, we are going to use our scissors or a knife, and with the help of an adult, kind of see how I've made a dot right in the center. I'm able to use very sharp scissors, and if you have a drill, this is a great spot to use a drill. I personally don't have one that would work for this project at my house, but what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of try and just make a hole in the middle of our popsicle stick. So I'm just kind of twisting my scissors so that we can make a hole in our popsicle stick. All right. I see some people that are here from Pennsylvania that are checking in. I saw some Girl Scouts from the Baltimore area checking in. Right. So as I had said, this is the first part of our Get Moving journey. We're going to be continuing on with this next week on Thursday at the same time, so Thursday at 1 p.m. And if you can't make it at that time, if you're going back to school digitally or anything like that and it doesn't work with your time, what we can do is we will be uploading these so you can watch them at any point in time after that. All right, so it's a little tricky to get this kind of first step going, but what we're doing is we're making that hole in the middle of our popsicle stick so we can see that there's just a tiny little hole, and the size of this hole is going to need to be about the size of the shaft of the motor. So that's that little stick piece that's coming out right here. That's about what size we want this to be. So go ahead, get those going. All right. Oops. And sometimes popsicle sticks split. Mine accidentally split. That's all right. I have some extras. If you're having struggles with that, ask a parent or an adult to help you. It is a little bit of a tricky first step to get started with. But, all right. So now that I have the holes in both of our popsicle sticks, I'm actually just going to put those aside because hopefully by now my hot glue gun has heated up, and it looks like it has. I'm going to go ahead and grab an extra glue stick. All right, so what we're going to do next is we are going to make the part that is holding our motor. We're gonna make this part right here. As you guys can see with my prototype that I made, I learned something which I kind of knew ahead of time, that hot glue and metal don't always like to stick together. So what we're going to be doing with this one is we're gonna be creating a support right underneath. Kind of show you from the back. We're gonna be just creating a support to kind of help hold that up a little bit, just so it makes it nice and secure. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the ones that we put with our holes on it off to the side. I'm using a different color so that we know which ones we're working with. The ones that I'll be making my frame with for my motor are going to be purple. So what we're going to do is we're going to essentially create an A around our motor. So it's going to be just like this. We're going to take our hot glue and we're going to attach both of our pieces. Be careful with your fingers not to touch the hot glue. It's a little tricky, so if you need another set of hands, be sure to ask somebody to help you. Make sure your parents are helping you out. So, and if our motors, so mine has a couple holes on the side, I'm going to make sure that just to not get any glue inside any of those holes. I'm going to use the sides that are smooth and have nothing else touching them. So go ahead and get that going. Just put that one on right there. Give it a second to dry. Go ahead and pop another glue stick in my hot glue gun. All right. And make that nice and secure around there. So I have one side of my frame that's going to be holding up our motor glued on. All right, I'm careful not to touch the glue that is drying, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach the other side on. Put a little dab of hot glue there. I'm going to put it on the other side. When I'm doing this, I want to make sure that the legs are kind of sticking out a little bit, just like the letter A. We don't want them going straight up and down. So more like the letter A, less like the letter H. So now that I have the two attached on the side, make sure it has cooled off and I'm not going to be sticking it to the table. I am going to just simply attach our last popsicle stick on just as a support so that it holds it all together and it keeps it nice and strong. So right. So now you can see that I have that all together. It's nice and secure. Have all of the glue spider legs happening, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put this to the side while I work on our next step. So our next step is going to be back with, whoops. It's going to be back with working on our, on the fans of our turbine. So I'm gonna go back to these sticks that I popped the holes in, all right? And I'm also going to go ahead and get my cup that I have. What we're gonna be doing with this cup is we're going to be cutting it so that we can create 4 different fans, fan wings for our turbine. So, and it doesn't have to be, you know, exact. I'm gonna let you guys choose how you kind of wanna make the fans of your turbine. Certain shapes are gonna kind of help catch wind differently. The one that I created earlier, I made sure that once I had them out, I kind of cupped them a little bit so that they could catch the wind a little differently. But that's something that each of you can kind of choose to change on your own to see what works best for you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead, just to start. We don't need the middle inside part of the cup, the bottom that holds it together. We don't need that part, so we're gonna cut that part off. But just to start, I'm going to completely just cut it in half. All right. So now that I've cut it in half, I'm going to go ahead and just snip off the inside part. Actually, I'm going to just cut off the whole bottom inside part and put that to the side because we don't need that. And I'm going to cut the half of the cup in half again so that we've cut it into quarters. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that for each side. So now I should have 4 pieces of our cup and our 2 popsicle sticks. Eventually what we're going to do with our popsicle sticks is we are going to attach them together to make an X. But what we're going to do before we do that is we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep with our hot glue gun and we are going to attach our cup to the and very ends of our popsicle sticks with the holes in them. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this on with some hot glue, not burn my fingers. As I attach this on, we're gonna see that I look at the back, I put it on the very end and I don't have it centered. I went and kind of put it on one edge of the cup. What I'm gonna do on the other side, just to show you, I'm not gonna do it so that they're on the same, I'm gonna do it so that it is opposite. So I'm gonna have one cup hanging down and one cup hanging up. And I'm gonna do that for both of our popsicle sticks. All right, so I have one set right there. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up with the other one. All right. And do the exact same thing for the other side with the cups on the ends of the popsicle stick and hanging off on different angles. All right, so what our next step is going to be attaching this all together. So you can see that I have all of my cups kind of at different areas so that when I put it in the X, there is a cup kind of sitting in each quadrant of the grid that I've made. So there's one in this area, one in this area, one down here, and one over here. So what we're going to do next is, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the piece that we created with our motor shaft. So we remember how we talked about the whole of our popsicle stick needs to be about the size of this motor shaft right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first just kind of gently push that piece in so that it is sitting on the motor shaft with just one of them. We're not going to secure it with glue yet. We're going to wait until we have them set where we want it. We might realize that, I'm actually looking at this one, I need to make my hole a little bit bigger. So I see Leanne's asking, will these videos be available to watch back at a later time? Yes, so they will stay on our Facebook, and I believe they'll also be posted on our YouTube channel. So if you don't have the materials right now, or you're just watching along, you can definitely check back in. All right. And as I was saying before, just like you guys, I ordered my materials online. So I didn't actually get to test this out until yesterday, and I did run into a couple issues. So I'm gonna actually keep working with this, but I definitely gonna look to see what you guys come up with. Maybe it's the motor that I have that wasn't giving me the same outcome that I was looking for, but I'll go ahead. We're gonna go through everything and we'll show you. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that next one on. It's okay that this is going to be a little wiggly right now. We're going to add it on so that we have both of our popsicle sticks hanging on. Right now they're a little wiggly. They're kind of moving around a bit. So we want to make sure that they are at the very, very end of our motor shaft. And so we're going to see that there's not much of that kind of sticking out on the side. It's at the very end. We can see that there's space kind of in here. We want there to be more space in there and that it's kind of flush with the very end of it. So somebody asked, what is the motor? So this is, I bought it online. It is a small hobby motor. It is I believe it is either 6 to 12 volt motor. And I will put a link to what I'm using. If you have the list from what we put up on our website, it links to the one that I purchased. But what I'm going to do now that I have my wings set where I'd like them to be, I'm going to go in with some hot glue and secure that on so that they're not moving around. I'm going to kind of put little dots of glue around the popsicle sticks and at the very end so that it is all stuck onto the motor. I ordered my motor off of Amazon and it was able to be delivered to me. I know Amazon is having a little bit delayed shipment times just with everything. So if you don't have the ability to get a motor, what you can do is you can just go through and make this like a windmill make it kind of like a windmill so that you can at least get the action of how a wind turbine works. So now that I have glued that all together, I have my motor, my fan wings, and my frame. This is the point where you guys can all kind of choose how you're going to cup your wings so that they can catch the wind. You can definitely try and use thicker popsicle sticks. Just make sure that you're not covering up any holes that might be on the motor. We don't want to accidentally get any hot glue inside of the motor. What I'm going to do next is we're going to get our larger cup. I just have a plastic 16-ounce cup right here, and we are going to attach it to the side. This is a little bit of a tricky step. So make sure that you're careful with your hands, and what you're going to do is hot glue that on right there. I also went in after I hot glued mine on my model. I'll let that dry for a moment as I add my other glue stick. And I added just some tape just to make it a little bit extra secure on the cup. I'll give that a quick minute to dry. As we're putting this on, we want to make sure that where we are placing it, that our fan wings can still spin and that they're not hitting the cup. So I'm going to give that a second to dry. And this is a step where it definitely helps to have a second set of hands, but I'm gonna go ahead and make do with it on my own. Oops. All right. Bear with me, folks. What type of cup? So I just have a 16-ounce plastic cup right here. A paper cup will work as well, as long as it is sturdy enough to hold what you're putting on, and a larger cup will work better. All right, so. All right, let me go ahead and get this all secured on. All right, there we go. So, just because mine was wiggling around a little bit, I am going to go around just as an extra layer of sturdiness. I'm going to just add a ring of duct tape around just so it holds on to the cup nice and tight. All right, so now what we have is our LED that we're going to be working with. So an LED is just a tiny little light. I'm gonna go ahead and put this off to the side. It kind of looks just like this. So on our LEDs, there is a long leg and a short leg. The long leg is our positive leg and our short leg is our negative leg. And what these do, it's kind of like a battery. A battery has a positive and a negative side, and it shows how the electricity will move through. I'm going to just show you really quick my LED. I believe this one is green. If you want to just if you already got your LEDs and you want to try and play with them and just see how they work, you can go ahead and put it around, and the long side is the positive, so you'll link that to the positive side, and the short leg is the negative, so you put that on the negative side, just to kind of see how an LED works. But I'm actually not going to be using that. So on our motors, make sure I can see, there should be, you can see how there are two little prongs sticking off the sides of our motor. What we're going to do is we are going to attach our LED to those prongs of the motors. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the LEDs and I'm going to bend it out to the side, bend each leg. I got also, see you asking where I got my LED lights. I got them on, actually we had these at the office, but you can purchase LEDs on Amazon. So I will, I believe I put a link in our list of where you can get some off of Amazon. So what I did is I went through and make sure we can focus, and I put just kind of two little legs on our LEDs. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to hook them through onto my motor so that it is nice and secure. All right. So we should then have our LED, and I bent the legs back up so that it is just holding on tight. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, this is the part where I ran into some troubles with, and I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to explain what should happen, and it might just be the motor that I have. I'm not quite sure. Again, with not being in the office and planning things 1 week at a time, I didn't have as much ability to kind of tinker with things ahead of time as I would like to. But what should happen is how a wind turbine works is that when you see one of these outside in the world, I've seen them a lot driving through like the Midwest and a lot with like the planes. I always see wind turbines, and they just look like giant fans. And what you'll see is them spinning in the wind. As they spin, what they're doing is they are spinning a generator on the back, and that generator is then turning the wind and what it generates into electricity. And what should be happening, which I'll go ahead, I don't have a fan, I have a hair dryer, so I'm going to warn you that it's going to get loud for a quick moment here, to try and make my fan work and just make sure that my wings are working. It should spin fast enough to generate a little bit of electricity, because it only takes about 1.5 to 3 volts of energy to light up this type of LED. It should be able to generate enough electricity to light it up. That's where I was having troubles with, and that I'm going to keep tinkering with, and I'll go ahead and post back if I figure out where I was having troubles with. But I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you how the fan will work. And again, if you have a fan, you can definitely try it with a regular fan. I personally do not have a fan handy that's not on my ceiling, so I went and got what I have handy, and that would be my hair dryer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and apologize if it gets really loud for you all for a quick moment. Just a fair warning, if you are using this with headphones, that it might be a little loud. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my hair dryer in, and I don't need it to be doing anything I don't need any crazy things like that. Keep it on the warm air. We don't need it on super hot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow it so that the wind kind of hits the wings, and in theory the LED should light up. And again, this is what I was having troubles with my first model, so it is a little tricky. And the number one thing is science doesn't always work the way that we want it to, and that's okay. That's how we learn. So I'm going to take this where I'm having some troubles with it, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to learn and hopefully figure out how to make it work and see what I was having troubles with, and I'll let you guys know as well. But I'll go ahead. So if it's not spinning the way you want it to, like I said, we can cup our fan wings in different directions so that it kind of grasps the air a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and try it again. Spin. And as it spins, the light should be lighting up, but that's what I was having troubles with. So I will circle back with you all. Maybe next week I'll have some answers for the second part of this. But either way, we still have created something really cool, and it shows us how a wind turbine works. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. Our next thing that we're going to create is going to be a solar oven. So solar energy is essentially energy from the sun, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the sun's energy to make an oven so that it can cook something. Somebody's asking what the round thing on the LEDs is. I think we're asking, this is at the very tip of this is the LED. It's just the light bulb essentially. So Kim, hopefully that answers your question. So that's just where the light is shown. All right, so with our solar oven, I'm going to go ahead and grab my materials. What we're going to start with is, well, first I started the other day, I had pizza for dinner. So we're going to start with the pizza box. All right, it does not matter what size pizza box you have. I happen to have a very large pizza box here that I have. And so what we're going to do is with our pizza box, we are going to make our solar oven. So with our solar oven, I'm going to grab my marker just so I can draw this out for you. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be drawing, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but just kind of show you almost just not a complete square, but part of a square. Doesn't have to be perfect. We want about 1 inch on each side. So you can see with the blue markers, I did not draw all the way up at the top. So where our pizza box opens, we're essentially creating another flap that is exactly like the regular pizza box flap. So I'm going to cut along down the sides, around the bottom, and back up. I will not cut up here. I'm going to leave that right up here. So with this, you can either use a sharp knife or some scissors to poke a hole and then cut along. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out this box line that I just drew for you right there. So. And if you are using a knife to do this, make sure that you have somebody helping you out. Go ahead and cut along that line that I drew. Once I've cut along that line, I'm going to be able to see how I just kind of created another little flap on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, with my hands, bend that up and create a fold right where I did not cut. So I have made another flap for our pizza box. All right, so once we have our flap made, our next step is going to be with our foil. So I'm going to use aluminum foil, all right? And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tearing off a piece of aluminum foil so that I can cover this piece right here. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to just kind of take our foil and see how much we need. It'll just depend on what you have, what size pizza box that you have. So, and my aluminum foil has a shinier side and a little bit more of a dull side. We're gonna make sure that our shiny side is facing out. And what I'm gonna do is cover this flap with the foil. If you don't have a pizza box, there are definitely ways that you can adapt this with just a regular box. What you can do is kind of tape the box together as it would, just completely empty, like an Amazon box or something like that, as long as it's a rectangle or a square, and you can still cut a hole in the top of it, just like we are doing right here, covering it with foil. And I'll kind of keep showing you how we can adapt that with just a regular box instead of a pizza box. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm covering this with foil, and I'm also, we can see I just have it coming around on the other sides, and I'm going to grab and tape and just tape that down. Right. And I am recycling my pizza box. We ordered pizza at my house, so if you don't have a pizza box, you could also have some pizza. I know at least around here there are restaurants that are still open for delivery and for pickup, so you could try to do that to support your local economy. So now that I have my foil covered right here, we are going to open up to the inside of our pizza box. All right, and so inside of our pizza box, on the bottom where the pizza would typically sit, and as you can see the grease stains in my pizza box, we are going to cover that with black construction paper. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just grab a couple sheets of black construction paper, and I'm going to work to cover the entire bottom with construction paper, and I'm going to tape this along as I go. You don't have to cut exact pieces. If you'd like, you could cut exact pieces to make it cover the bottom, but I'm just going to overlap my pieces to avoid having to make lots of tiny little cuts. Right. So I'm just going to cover the bottom. With construction paper. As I do this, I'm just using whole sheets and I am taping just the edges up so that it is holding on nice and tight inside of here. All right. So I'm going to make sure that every part of this is covered. And again, as I said, I have a very large pizza box here. This can be done with any size pizza box. It can also be done with any sort of Amazon box. If you're doing it with just another cardboard box, just make sure that you're covering the inside. If it is a little bit of a deeper box, so maybe like a shoebox kind of size, I would maybe go up and cover the edges of yours just so that there's a lot more dark space in there. The reason why we cover the bottom of our solar oven with black paper is because heat and the sunlight is attracted to dark colors. So if any of you have ever worn a dark colored shirt out in the summer, you might notice that your back's getting really hot, whereas if you're wearing a lighter colored shirt, that's not going to absorb as much heat. Yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and slow down. I'll give you guys a second to catch up as I am finishing up this step. So what we're working on right now is just covering all of the bottom of our pizza box with black construction paper. So I'm going to give you guys a second to catch up with that. What you can also do with your box, once you're done with it, you can go ahead, you can decorate the outside if you'd like. You can do whatever you'd like, and so I'm just going to go ahead and go over what I've done so far, just for those of you that are doing this along with me. So far what I've done is I have cut out a flap on my pizza box. All right, so on that flap right there, I have then covered that flap with aluminum foil with the shinier side facing towards us, facing towards the inside of the box, so that it's nice and shiny. Somebody from Florida that says wearing a dark shirt is no good in Florida because it's very sunny in Florida. I'm sure you've now seen and you'll know that it'll get nice and warm inside of our pizza box. So if we were just to leave our pizza box as just the pizza box color, it would not absorb as much heat as we want it to be able to cook something. I'm cooking, I put in the instructions of what you could do is you can either make a s'more with your pizza box solar oven, or I love quesadillas, so I'm actively have one outside, and the sun finally came out, so hopefully something's happening out there, but we'll go ahead and we'll check on that at the very end. I'm making a quesadilla with mine. So once we have the bottom covered with our black construction paper and our flap covered in foil, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and close this back up again, and we are going to work on this black construction paper that I'm using. What I'm going to do now is with this hole right here that we've cut out of our box, we are going to cover that in plastic wrap. If you don't have plastic wrap at your house where you're kind of running low on it, your parents don't want to use that, you can do a Ziploc bag or anything kind of clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull out my just plastic wrap right here. And we're going to want to make sure that we get this nice and secure. And I know that plastic wrap can be kind of tricky to use. It's okay if you have to rip off a couple pieces to kind of get it working. But I have my piece of plastic wrap right here. And we're going to cover our hole that we created. You might need to use 2 pieces of plastic wrap to kind of cover what we have, but we're going to be, with our plastic wrap, covering this hole right here. If your pizza box has any other holes on it, we're going to want to make sure that we try and cover those holes just so that we are creating a nice seal on our pizza box so that all of the heat that we collect is staying inside of that pizza box. So it's kind of like if you leave your window, if you're in a car and that car leaves their window cracked open, it's going to be a little bit cooler than a car that's sitting out in the sun that has all of the windows up. When you have your car with all the windows up, it's going to be nice and toasty in your car, but if you crack down your windows, it might cool off a little bit. So I want to make sure that any spots like that are going to be covered. All right. And if you don't want to use a pizza box, again, with our cardboard boxes that you might be using, as you're doing this and as you're using this, the best thing about a pizza box with a solar oven is that you can open it up and you don't have to keep replacing the plastic. If you were to be doing this with just a regular cardboard box, what you can do is I would actually pause this step before you start adding your plastic wrap and put on the inside what you're going to be making and then sealing your food in with the plastic wrap. So if you're doing this without a pizza box, you might need to replace your plastic wrap every single time, whereas if you have a pizza box, it's able to open and close, but that's just a way that we can adapt this. So I'm going around and attaching my plastic wrap. I want to make sure it's as tight and secure as I can get it to be. So we want to make it almost look like a window pane. We don't want it to be all wrinkly. We want it to be nice and tight across the top of the pizza box. So I'm going to keep on taping this down. All right. And again, as I'm taping this, my pizza box has these little kind of vents on them, and I'm making sure to cover those with the tape and the plastic wrap as I'm going around with this to ensure that we have a nice tight seal all the way around. And again, if you didn't have plastic wrap, you can use plastic bags or anything else that is clear and plastic will work. I'm making sure that this is nice and secure around. One side done. Go ahead and move to the other side. And then as you're finishing up this last step, if you're making this with me, I want you to start thinking about, are you going to make a s'more in here? Are you going to try and make something else? Solar ovens work the best with foods that you're trying to melt something with. So ahead and finish the sides. So you want to make sure that it is completely sealed across on the 3 sides that you have available on the pizza box. All right. So once I have that nice and sealed, so what we can see is as I'm taping it around, I'm taping every exposed side of our plastic wrap so that I'm creating a tight seal. I have not done anything with the piece that is connecting right here with the foil yet. So once I'm done with my 3 sides on the top of my box, I'm going to go ahead and move to the side with my foil. And I am going to then tape it on the inside of the box so that we have a nice tight seal along there as well. If you're doing this with a cardboard box and you already have your food on the inside, just try your best to tape it from the outside. I just find that with the pizza box, I find it easier to be taping it from the inside. But you can definitely do that with a regular box as well. Alright, so now that I have all of that ready, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. I have a nice tight seal of my plastic wrap right here on my pizza box. All right, we have our black paper on the bottom and we have our foil right here. As you can see, this is kind of falling down and falling shut. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a wooden dowel. You can use a popsicle stick, a pencil, really anything that will be able to hold this up and prop this up. And this is something that you're going to want to adjust depending on where the sun is, so that the sun is able to reflect off of this tin foil and concentrate and send that sunlight down into our pizza box, into whatever we're cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my skewer. My skewer. There we go. There we are. So I just have bamboo type skewers, barbecue skewers. I'm gonna go ahead and grab one, and just on one side of this, do it on this side. So I'm going to tape it to just the side of the pizza box, and then I'm going to, depending on how long your stick is, if you're using a popsicle stick, it's gonna be much shorter. You're gonna kind of find that right spot, and I'm gonna tape it right here to my pizza box, and then I'm also going to tape it up onto my foil so that it props itself open. All right, so I'm gonna get that skewer. All right, we're gonna go ahead and tape that right there. And then again with the top side, just so that it props it open. And again, this is one that you might need to adjust where you're putting it, depending on what length of stick you have, your size of pizza box, and where the sun is in the sky. So hopefully, when I put my pizza box out there earlier with my quesadilla for my snack for today, it was kind of cloudy, but it looks like at least here the sun has come out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead with my other one and we're gonna go check outside, but we have now created all of our steps to make our pizza oven. And if you're doing it with the pizza box, this is where you can open it up and put down inside of the pizza box whatever you'd like to make, whether it be a s'more, a quesadilla, or grilled cheese, or something else. If you're gonna make something else with it, let me know. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on a little trip to my backyard, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the pizza box that is cooking a quesadilla right now. So we're gonna pop it right out here. Oop. All right, so go ahead and pop over here, say hi to my neighbor. And what I have cooking in here right now, guys, is a quesadilla. So I apologize if we're losing some connections right here. But we have our quesadilla, and it has been out here for probably about 45 minutes or so. It's getting warm on the inside, and I did just open it up and let the heat out. With the pizza box oven, you have to be patient to be able to and let it kind of cook and see. It takes some time. It definitely, here in Maryland, it is a little chilly out. It's probably about 60 degrees, so it's going to take a little bit longer than it might if you're somewhere where it's warmer outside. But as your things are cooking, I'm going to encourage you guys to go on a walk through your neighborhood, and I want you guys to try and see what types of renewable or solar energies you might see in your neighborhood. So what you can do is you can go on and you can take a look at all of the homes and see if anybody has solar panels on their homes. If you live somewhere like in a city or something like that where that might not be possible, you can also walk around and look and see if there are any cars that might be hybrid cars or any other types of renewable types of energy. So with that, we're looking at things that aren't using gas, aren't using electricity in the way that we think they might. So things that are renewable, so that things that are kind of constantly able to be renewed. And so like wind, sun, and there might be some other things you might find. So I encourage you to go on a walk. For those of my friends that are saying they had ice where they are today, maybe there's something that it might take a little bit longer, but have not tried this in the winter, but you can make it and take it on a camping trip and try something while you're camping as a different way to make something. But yeah, so this is just the first part of our Get Moving journey. So what I want you guys to do is just go investigate through your neighborhood and see different types of energy that you see. You can make a log of it and write things down about what you see in your neighborhood. Maybe even in your own home, you might have some things that are renewable, but other than that, I will see you guys the same time next week, so 1 p.m. on Thursday of next week. We'll be doing the second part of this, and we'll see you then. All right, bye.